Bob Baber is in studio. I noticed a smile when you saw him say CCR.
Yeah, it's my generation too.
Yeah,
Bill.
That's right. We're in it.
That's right.
In it together here.
My first album was Meet the Beatles. It goes back a little ways.
I got to tell you, isn't it? It's really amazing when you think about it that Paul McCartney is still out performing. The Rolling Stones are still out performing like they were 20 years ago.
Selling out stadiums.
Yeah,
that's what I was going to say. And they're selling out.
Yeah. And they're selling out. And the best part of McCartney now is he does a lot of Beatles stuff.
Yeah.
So for somebody, I was, the Beatles were before they. I was in elementary school, so to be able to go and watch a show today is pretty cool. So even if it is at the Dome and you worry about sound and all of that. All right, so you guys at the ARC in Herkimer County have an author coming in later in the month of June, on Friday, June 16th, and this is big. Rachel Simon, who has written several books. One of them that was turned into a movie, I believe, That's Riding correct. The Bus with My Sister, and this has to do, and this in particular was personal for her, right?
Very personal.
It was her sister.
She was challenged by her sister Beth, who has an intellectual disability, and who was living independently in a small city in Pennsylvania. And Beth challenged Rachel to spend a week with her each month. So Rachel's a writer. She wrote for the Philadelphia Inquirer and freelanced. So she was able to do that with her schedule, and she promised to do that for 1 year with Beth, who refers to herself as Cool Beth. And she's a very comical and loving character in the book. And as Rachel goes through these rides on the bus, you learn about the kind of hidden and silent world of people with intellectual disabilities.
Yeah.
And it's really quite amazing. There's a lot of humor in it. You will laugh with and cry with the characters in there. And, as a kid, I rode the bus. My grandfather raised me, and he didn't have a car, and we rode the bus in Utica. And Rachel and I have had some great conversations about that. And so anyone who's lived in Utica, as I did, on the east side in Cornhill, and rode buses will relate to this story. More importantly, people who have disabilities, families of people with disabilities, educators, people in human services, especially those who are caregivers, will relate to this book. In my opinion, it should be mandatory for anyone who works in agencies like ours.
You know what I find, I don't know how many years ago, 15, 20 years ago, the word inclusion in our schools became a word of contention. Some people felt that it was going to mean that there wouldn't be attention on their children who didn't have a disability. But, now we fast forward, and what I'm impressed by is the way kids care for one another in the classroom. And the fact that, the picking on it doesn't happen like maybe it used to. I'm sure it still does. Right. But, and if you're a parent of a child with a disability, all you want is for your child to have some sort of a normal life, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You and I were raised in an era, I was a Proctor High School kid, where there was a room in the basement where individuals with disabilities were relegated to. And thank goodness that's changed a great deal.
Yeah.
In one of Rachel's books, The Story of Beautiful Girl, which is an extraordinary novel, it's a fictional version of kind of based on the Meadowbrook expose that Geraldo Rivera did way back when. But she goes into the characters and not just the institution with that. And it exposes that world.
Yeah.
As I said earlier, that silent world, that kind of unknown world to most of us. But we've all probably been touched in our lives in a wonderful way by an individual with disabilities. I know I have in my family, and probably all of us have, either through friends or relatives. So it is, as you said correctly, it's much, much different. There's the words now that we use are beyond inclusion. People with disabilities have self-determination.
Right.
There's acceptance, there's awareness, and we are able to, at ARC Herkimer and our sister agencies, able to see every day the growth of these individuals and what they mean to us. I walk into the building every day inspired and thankful.
Can I talk too about what ARC does? And correct me if I'm wrong here. This is just my observation.
Yeah, please.
And that is, there's a lot of truths that can't be ignored when someone has a disability. And we call it what again? It's what type of disability is it again?
Intellectual.
I like that.
Or developmental.
I've never used that term. But what my observation has been is that parents who have a child, they need help. And if you're all on your own, that's a big, big burden because you love your child. But what a burden that is. And to have ARC and organizations and out there to help is just, I think, incredibly important. Can you talk about that?
I can. And
it can make parents feel guilty, like I can't do it on my own. And
Sure. Well, I can talk about it also from the perspective of one of Rachel's books, which is Riding the Bus with My Sister, because that was really her transformation. And I think that I can't speak for parents with children with disabilities, but I can say that they see that as a blessing.
Yeah.
And although there are challenges that go along with that, anyone who's spent any time with an individual with a disability understands what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. Those children and adults. Remember, we service adults. We service nearly 700 individuals. Wow. One of our programs is called Guardianship, and that supports individuals who have no one. The parents have passed, or they're unable to help with the care of that.
One of the biggest fears for
individual.
a lot of parents of children have a huge fear that when they're gone, who's going to take care of their kid?
Absolutely. And one of our sponsors is our organization, Circle of Friends, and the money that we raise from that group, along with other fundraising activities, goes toward that guardianship program and a spirituality program for those who want to worship, and great number of volunteers, but also paid staff deal with that.
All right. This is happening on June the 16th, right?
Correct.
10 a.m. until noon at the McLaughlin Center at Herkimer County Community College, or Herkimer College as they call it now. And she'll be there and speak. And who goes? Who should go to this?
She'll speak. The individuals that I mentioned earlier, individuals with disabilities, their family members, caregivers, and we've gotten great support from outstanding organizations like the Community Foundation of Herkimer and Oneida Counties, Genesis Group, the college, Herkimer County Community College, WTR is helping us out, and anyone who's interested in this subject. And so I can say on one level, everyone should listen to this woman because she's inspirational. She's great. If you want to be intimidated, share emails with an author like this. I have a master's in journalism, and when I email her, I proofread it 4 times before I hit send.
Pretty intimidating.
Absolutely.
All right. And a hero to so many.
Absolutely.
Right? I think that's important. So, and by the way, that movie is out there. You can search for the movie. Riding the Bus with My Sister.
And then just another point, and I don't know how much we can get into this. The Herkimer ARC has actually a huge thing coming up later this summer, first of a kind for this area.
Yep. Actually, the day after Rachel speaks.
That's what I thought. It was the day
will
after.
you're right. Will be the grand opening of ARC Park, which is the region's only fully accessible recreation park. There's nothing like it in central New York. I mentioned it to Tony when he was leaving, and I'm sure he'll be there. But great support. We've raised well over $1 million for that project, which is, as you know, extraordinary in this region. Bill, you're from the Valley.
Yeah.
It's
tough.
It's tough.
Yeah.
But it also speaks to the great generosity of individuals in this region for a good cause.
Right. Well, listen, this is awesome. Website, I'm assuming you can go to the ARC's website for all the details. And Bob, thanks for
ARCHerkimer.org.
Thanks for coming in.